All right, I think we're good. Hi, Tony.
How you guys doing?
All right, we're going to start the meeting. We're going to call it 6:37. I'm going to run the roll. Mr. Bartlett. Here. Oh, we know Mrs. Graves is not here. Dr. Lewis.
I'm here.
Maggie's not here. Mrs. Rankin.
I'm here.
Mr. Stelzer.
Here.
All right, I've got two emails, one from Maggie, one from Avia asking to be excused. We're going to go ahead and excuse them from tonight's meeting.
Okay.
Poor Maggie's suffering with a broken foot.
How'd you do that?
Coming out of I guess I better not make the joke. She was trying to inflate a child's swimming pool and somehow she tripped. So you can give her a call, see how she's doing.
So it is back to the comment that you were originally going to make.
Yeah, sort of. All right, moving on. Is everybody's seen the minutes? And I'm talking.
Yeah, we got to vote on accepting their absence.
All right, I need a motion and a second to excuse them. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Seconded. I second.
On roll call, Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Dr. Lewis,
Aye.
Ms. Rankin,
Aye.
Mr. Stelzer.
Aye.
All right. All right, has everybody seen the minutes? And I'm talking about the minutes from the regular council meeting and the budget hearing minutes. Any questions regarding those minutes?
Not for
No?
me.
Not from you? Okay, we all good? All right, I need a motion and a second to accept the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Dr. Lewis,
Aye.
Ms. Rankin,
Aye.
Mr. Stelzer.
Aye.
All right, we'll accept those minutes. All right, moving on to communications. I know you've all probably had a chance, you've all seen the reports. They're all kind of good reports this time. If there's any questions regarding, anybody want to ask a question in council, or you just direct your questions directly to the author of the reports? Rob, you good? All right.
We're getting a clearer picture on the income side. It is coming in lower. So I think Tony's estimates are, that he did for the budget are probably pretty darn close.
Pretty good. Yeah, I think, although a little
Good
bit
news,
more.
bad news.
Well, I know letters went out for people to pay their second quarter estimates, so hopefully we'll see a bump here in the next month or two.
Yeah, but last year the bumps in the quarterly estimated payments were usually like around $60,000 to $80,000. So it'll help definitely, but it's not going to catch us all the way up.
Right.
All right, so again, any other?
Hey, Tony, real quick, have you gotten an update from Deanna about where we're at on tax returns? I know there was a lot of them not filed as of the 15th. Have you heard an updated number?
I talked to her, but I don't know the numbers. I know they were still down, but they weren't as bad as they were a month ago.
Okay.
So I don't know the exact answer.
All right. But the trend is looking a little bit better?
A little bit.
Yeah, okay. All right, again, any other questions, you guys can address it to the authors of the reports. Okay, under permission to address council tonight, I have an email here that we're going to discuss. It's from a guy named Joe Rosenthal, and he wrote me, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, inquiring about the virus and what was going on at Mercy St. Teresa, what additional things were going on. I'm not going to read the entire email, but what was going on in the community, regarding the virus. I went ahead and forwarded the thing to Tim because I felt that he was probably best prepared to answer. And he did, in fact, make a very nice response to Joel, basically outlining what he could, because, remember, when you go inquiring about individual cases of the virus within the village, you have to be very careful there because there's certain issues of privacy, and we, don't want to violate that. So,
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I believe we were all saw Tim's email.
yeah, okay.
And I saw the original too. I thought we all got that.
Yeah.
So
anyway, Tim sent the response, and the gentleman responded back to me basically saying, thank you very much. However, he was really looking for, I guess, some additional kind of information, regarding, what is the village doing? To which it was sort of unclear what he was actually asking us to do. So I made no response, and upon which he decided that he would reach out to Mr. Stelzer, regarding, because Joe is, chair of, Health and Rec. And he sent Joe an email, sort of asking the same questions. And Joe has made, I don't know has everybody seen Joe's response?
To us. Yeah.
No.
The email that Joe sent,
To Mr. Rosenthal.
No, I don't. think
Well,
we sent-
let me just add, a little bit of additional information. So the email from Mr. Rosenthal was asking about whose committee would be responsible for looking at the COVID-19 or pandemic. And, I responded back that the code of ordinances isn't real clear. It says, that certain functions are segregated in certain committees, and it uses the term functions. It doesn't use the term responsibilities. So that's not like as committee, chairpersons, we're, responsible for that area. I'm not sure what you would use, how you would define functions, but there's a question is, should one of the committees be, looking at this COVID-19 and following up on things. And again, when I looked at the code of ordinances, it doesn't talk about responsibilities. And typically the way we operate is that, if there's an issue, it gets assigned into a committee, usually based upon, somewhat trying to follow that functions guide that's in the code of ordinances, but also trying to take advantage of whatever, skill sets we might have on council at that point in time. So the question is at this point is, how should we be handling, COVID-19? Because all it just says in the code of ordinances for health and rec is that they're responsible for health. So it's nothing about pandemics. I guess nobody considered we would have a pandemic when they wrote the code of ordinances, but now we're sitting here with one. And so the question is does this go into a committee or how, what is our response structure for the COVID-19 is kind of the question.
And that is a good question. And of course, obviously, like I said, I think we have to somewhat walk sort of a fine line here because, as I said, there are certain privacy issues.
right?
I would think that possibly a response to this may be that we put it in rules and law and we let, Maggie shake down or at least explore and analyze and try and construct, some type of what would the proper response, what should the village's proper response to something like this be? Ed, do you have a thought on this?
Yeah, Bill, I have not seen the email, so I'm not really sure. But I'm thinking, it sounds to me like it's probably a fairly general request. And I think something as short and simple as, hey, whatever the state tells us to do as far as COVID preparedness, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah,
Do we need to do anything over and above that? I don't know.
I
Well,
agree with you. I think I was just telling Bill, I think it should just go to, we should look to you for advice on what to do here instead of putting it into a committee. So I think we should forward you the email so you have a chance to read the email.
Right, yeah.
I'll do that.
Read Tim's response as well and get all the data. And then you tell us what you think we should be doing there.
That'd be great. Yeah, because
What we can do.
I'm not sure exactly what it is that he's looking for. And I'd like to see that, and then I'll get a hold of you guys or get a hold of the mayor and let him know what I think. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's okay. We can do it that way because as I said, Tim, I believe, wrote what I would consider to be a very satisfactory answer to the man's inquiry, given the bounds of just how much information we can disclose. But I think what we'll do, I'll forward it all to you. You read it over, you make some kind of an assessment. And, if we are to go somewhere from here, you can let me know.
Okay.
I just
Yeah.
think, I just think we need to be really careful about privacy issues, about responsibility issues. Once we tag ourselves with a certain level of responsibility, we're going to be held to that. And so this is, the Board of Health has rules, the state has rules, the county has rules, but so I think getting a legal opinion is the best way to go.
All right.
in general, what we've been kind of doing so far is the mayor has been kind of the lead on this whole thing. And I think that might be the right place for this thing at this point as it evolves. I don't, what we have done kind of up to this point is we addressed the COVID-19 situation with the pool. We addressed it with the tennis. We addressed it with the playgrounds, as it came up. But, Bill, the assistant fire chief reports to Bill or indirectly through, Rick. So I think that's probably the point person at this point until we, feel like we need to do something else. I don't know, as chairman of Health and Rec, I don't know what my responsibility would be on this. There's this general category called health, but I mean, I don't worry about the sewers. That's, MST that takes care of that. There's a whole lot of stuff that Health and Rec doesn't do because we got people that do it already.
Yeah, I think we're basically shaking down the right answer to this. Like, let Ed explore it a little bit and see what he comes up with.
And I think what Joe is saying is probably correct. And the email back to this gentleman should be from the mayor as opposed from me. But Bill, I'll give you my thoughts in writing so you can paraphrase them or actually copy them identically and get it off to this fellow.
Well, just so we're clear, the gentleman contacted, I was the first point of contact on this, and I did respond back to him, basically saying that I was handing the situation or the response off to Mr. Feitner because he obviously was in a position to make the best response.
Yeah.
And again, I'm saying Tim made what I feel is a very good response here. The gentleman just seems to want additional information, and I'm not really sure that we're in a position to provide that. But
was he specific in his emails about the additional information he's looking for?
And so Ed, what I took away, and again, you'll read it, make your own conclusions. What I took away is he's wondering if we should be making a general announcement to people in the village about any certain location that may have COVID cases.
Yeah.
But
Does the fact that that's a private facility where he's initiated concern about play into that at all and affect our responsibility since it's a
Again, well, let's let Ed get the emails and he can go through it.
that makes sense. I can tell you, I've seen it.
And I will add, the standard we've been following so far is we typically look to the state, we look to Hamilton County Public Health for guidance on what we should be doing within the village of Mariemont.
Right.
And I'm not aware that other places are calling out, potential hotspots, but there is a website that tracks certain hotspots at the state level, and they've got the data, and it's got the information's out there.
Yeah.
Well, and also, Joe, I believe that the county's health department, is probably got good information on it in terms of, if you really want to know the number of cases, what's going on in the county. I mean, there are other places to go here. But let's proceed as we've stated.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Has everybody seen looked over the bills? Any questions regarding the bills?
Oh. I don't.
I only have one question on the bills. There's a couple bills in there for tree removals and stump removals and stuff like that. Bill, do you by chance know if that gets through our budget for this year, or is there more of that coming?
Yes, there is more of that coming. I do believe, though, that the bulk of what has been done so far is probably going to represent the bulk of what was to be done. But there are still a few errant stumps out there to be stumped, and there's still some additional tree work to be done. Yes.
Okay. Any order of magnitude that we might be looking at there?
Well, I don't have that at my fingertips right this second.
Okay.
I mean, I can get it for you for sure.
Well, no. I'm just asking the question. I mean, I don't expect you to have it at fingertips. Just, if you could follow up on that, just so we have some idea of what might be coming in the last 6 months of the year for tree work.
Yeah. And then let me make a comment. In case you guys are noticing, there was a little excessive charge here. Well, it wasn't excessive, but I mean, it kind of caught us by surprise. The main ladder truck, obviously you needed about $15,000 in repair work. As you can see there was almost $10,000 done to repair the turbo diesel, and then another $5,000 to do, I think it's hey, Tim, back me up on this. It's the springs on the rear of the truck. Am I correct?
That is correct. They had cracks in the eyelet area where the bolt would run through, so they had to be replaced.
Okay. But I mean, this just falls into ongoing maintenance on a truck of this age and the kind of wear and tear and driving that a truck gets.
That is correct. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay. All right. If we're all good, then I need a motion and a second to pay the bills.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Mhm.
Second.
Second. All right. On roll call, Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Dr. Lewis, Dr. Lewis.
Oh, you're
Oh, I'm
muted.
muted. I'm sorry. I said I was muted because of the cat, but I said I 3
You
times.
like the cat.
Would you
Um,
want to hear? You're welcome to it.
Mrs. Rankin,
Aye.
Mr.
Yes.
Stelzer.
Now.
Aye.
All right, so we'll pay the bills. All right, moving on to the committee reports. Kelly, you want to give us a little bit of an oral report, please?
Yes, thank you for acknowledging my existence.
Yes.
So the Public Works Committee has been working on getting a right-of-way ordinance together. And we've been working with Frost Brown Todd on that. And right now, the status is, it looks like the Marble Cliff ordinance is going to be the best way to go. And we're focusing right now on the fee structure for gathering the annual fee for presence in the right-of-way. And so Chris Ertl is going to have a conversation with the engineer from Marble Cliff to kind of work out the best way to approach the fees and kind of finalize our plan so we can get an ordinance together and get it to PUCO, start the 45-day clock, and then we can, with no resistance, get that ordinance on the books. So where we're at.
Okay, and just as a follow-up, I emailed Cindy McKay, who is the fiscal officer up there, to basically apprise her. I had a really, really great conversation with her a couple days ago, talking over their ordinance, which is, one of the model ordinances that we're using to craft our own. I mean, obviously kind of concentrating on, the fee structure. How did they make it work? Could they collect the fees? Was it complicated? So on and so forth. She was extremely helpful, basically volunteered the services of their engineer. So I'm arranging a phone call between the two so that Chris can basically understand how to do the calculations. It doesn't appear, in actual practice, it's not as complicated to sort of work it out
As it reads.
as it reads. One of the key elements, though, of this entire thing to make this work, to be able to collect these fees, is getting this to PUCO. And basically you get PUCO's, I'm going to use the word blessing on it. And once you sort of have that document, then we can start to calculate the fees and begin to bill the individual utilities. So
Right.
I think we're on a good track here.
So Kelly, does it look, so are we next council meeting, hopefully, to get the right away?
Oh, yeah, I would certainly think that's doable.
Great, fantastic.
Mhm.
Okay. Anything else to add? Any other questions regarding this? No questions? All right.
Kelly,
Thank you. Meow.
All right. No, we have no other reports. Moving on to miscellaneous. A couple of things in miscellaneous here. Obviously, the fireworks, we're going to hold those September the 6th, Dogwood Park. It'll be very, we're going to have a carillon concert of some type. Sort of prior to that. I'm going to be giving Citizen of the Year awards, making some other announcements regarding the village. Hopefully the weather will cooperate and it'll be a good time.
Hey, Bill, how are you going to handle social distancing for the
Thank you.
fireworks?
Thank you, Joe. You took the words right out of my mouth.
I put the word out. I did a little brief statement that Susie Weiland basically is going to run. I think that comes out when does that come out again? It comes out right before.
Well, I don't know if it's on the Sunday, so it might be that actual day.
Yeah, it might be that actual day. Anyway, basically a little missive in there, basically, saying, please be responsible, social distance, please wear the mask, kind of a thing. And obviously, I'm going to be sending out other, information, little tidbits leading up to this as gentle reminders that, it is an outdoor event, but nevertheless, there could be a large turnout at this, and we all have to, act with common sense and be responsible and just space ourselves out a little bit more than we normally would.
And wear masks.
And wear your mask, and we can all enjoy the fireworks. So, unless somebody else has got another thought on this, obviously I'm open to any suggestion.
Hey, Bill, so the town crier may actually come out the day of the fireworks or the day before?
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
okay, so-
sometimes the delivery on that, she begins to deliver it on that weekend. So some people may get it, on Saturday, some may get it on that Sunday. I think it's actually due to come out on that Sunday, the 6th.
Okay,
Can you put that same thing in, on the website and also in like
Yeah.
Mariemont?
Sure.
yeah,
yeah,
I
of
think,
course.
right, let's get it on the website like ASAP, because, you don't want people coming down there going, oh, I didn't know. I mean,
The
everybody's.
other thing we could do is, we could, send it out to the various heads of the various organizations, MPF, preschool parents, ask them to share it. Also with our emailing list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
So,
just
yeah,
a bit of a logistical question. So, you usually have that area roped off for the fireworks, that the people sit in.
Right.
And that area usually is pretty crowded on a
Mhm.
normal year.
yes, it
So
is.
if you try to spread people out with a social distancing standard, which I'm assuming would be somewhere along the lines of you need distance between each family group. Do we,
Well,
do,
Probably.
do we physically have enough room for everybody?
Doesn't sound like it.
Well, Joe, I mean, I don't know, because obviously if I knew exactly how many people were going to show up, I mean, the street itself will be, of course, roped out. So if it looks as though it's going to get tight, I guess there could be standing room spillover back into the street. I mean, obviously the view is not going to be as good, but it's just one of those situations where, hopefully everybody acts responsibly and
So here's my question, and maybe this is for Tim. What kind of distance do we have to put between the fireworks and the start of the people line?
Normally, the way that it's been roped off is what those calculations predict for that size of show that they do. I
Okay.
can get that definitive answer for you, find out if there's a way to potentially shift it back a little more. But we've always had concerns about hot embers in that wood line there on the back side of the park. So,
Right.
I can work with the mayor and with whoever else wants to be a part of it and try to figure this out to make it a success if it's going to actually go on.
Yeah, I'm just saying some questions you want to try to ask ahead of time to try to be prepared, but I can just see this being a logistical issue, about, what's our social distancing standard? And then, does it work with the area that we're dealing with?
hey, Tim, let me ask you this. Is there any way to run down the side of the field, what would be on the southern side of the field?
With
To create an area, where spectators could be over sort of, I mean, obviously there'd be a limit as to how far west they could go. But you know what I'm talking about? It's like you kind of go down and around the corner slightly, you'd round the corner right there by the parking lot where the ball field is.
Like by the chicken fountain in that area there.
Yeah, that's a possibility. When I get back, I'll
maybe
get
we
with
go
you,
over
Mayor, find out the size of what's going to be there, so I can go down and lay out the measurements, and I'll have a better idea, so you guys can know what to expect.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Tim.
Should we buy some extra masks for people that don't bring one, and we can charge it to that COVID-19 fund we have?
No, we'll sell them for $1.
There you go.
Jeez. Or $2.
Actually, that may not be a bad idea, not in terms of trying to sell it for, making money, but we basically, we could have some volunteers that would have, quite a supply of masks on them, and they could, hand them out to those who forgot to bring their mask.
Mm.
Yeah,
But Tony's right, that does qualify.
it would qualify. Yeah. So, I don't know what they're going for now. I mean, I don't think they're that expensive. We could probably buy, hundreds of them, I would think.
Yeah, just a couple hundred, whatever.
All right. Yeah. Well, maybe you can hand them out, Tony.
Sure.
All right, moving on. The village office will be closed, of course, that Monday, September the 7th, observance of Labor Day. I think we all know that. The Waldorf school thing is sort of next here. As I believe we talked about this, at last council, they've got basic plans. They want to, have outdoor classes. They want to set tents up on the eastern side of the school. They're going to take them up, put them down every day. It's not exactly determined yet if the kids are going to sit on the ground or what they're going to sit on. But they are sort of working that out. They want to use the pool parking lot for a pickup and drop off area. It would be early in the morning. It's not going to conflict with pool hours because they're going to take the kids on outings, down into the South 80. I think all of that is good. The only issue here that I'm having a little problem with, and I think Maggie might have been having a problem with this the last time, was they want to put that portalette, over there in Ann Buttonbecker Park. And I believe they want to put it near that garden area that they have there. And, aside from the aesthetic of having that sitting over there and being able to secure it and lock it at night and so on and so forth, I think it could be, I don't know whether it's in a law or something in the state of Ohio, that when you have school children and they have toilet facilities, they have to be able to wash their hands somewhere, in some way. And I don't know how you would provide a facility like that with a portalette. So
Actually, Bill, the people to supply the portalette can supply a portable washing station. I've seen them at numerous events.
well, how does that work, Joe? I mean, they've got,
It's just it's just a standalone plastic sink type thing with a little bit of water source and a little bit of soap. They use them all the time on big events.
okay, so I mean, it has its own reservoir of water.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hooked to our water supply in any way.
No.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, they put these things in the middle of the streets for big events. I've seen them for years.
All right, well, so, I mean, that was going to be one of my objections. Does anybody else have any thoughts on this?
But I want to clarify what Joe just said. So it's portable. So, I mean, the portalette was going to be there indefinitely, right? For the council, ever long they're using that area.
I think it would only be there into the late fall. Isn't that your idea on it, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, what they said is they're going to try to stay outside as long as they can stay outside until the weather turns on them. So I would assume till probably the end of October. I mean, again, everybody's just kind of, they're trying to define how they're going to do this stuff, but their general starting proposal is they're going to be outside as much as possible, until the rains hit, until, the cold weather hits. So I would say until November, probably.
So that's portable sink it would be fixed for that amount of time as well. I mean, that's not something you take down at night and then put it back up in the morning.
No, usually whoever drops the porta potty drops that portable sink.
Thanks.
And I assume they would refill it when they come to clean out the portalette itself, I suppose, right? To make sure that they've got washing facility.
The events I've always seen, they usually do that on a nightly basis. Like I've seen them in the middle of the street in Chicago and stuff like that. And they would come in at night, clean out the loo, and then basically restock the hand washing station.
Did they provide something to dry your hands with?
Yeah, there's little paper towels on the side of it.
Your pants.
And are there adequate litter containers, or is that going to be us responsible for emptying those every night?
We can put that responsibility on them to make sure.
Yeah.
And then my other question is, last time we discussed this, we had several of us had concerns about the South 80. What was the resolution on that?
So the resolution is they're going to use the pool parking lot
Okay.
for drop off in the morning, and then the kids will actually walk back to school for pickup. Going to use the South 80, or if they're going to use Ruthin's preserve down there. They've gotten permission from Little Miami Conservancy to use that area if they want to. So they haven't really decided whether they're going to use the South 80 or the Little Miami Conservancy area yet.
And are they going to have a portalette, or are they going to be using the pool, or what's the arrangement there?
There's probably no way we can let them in the pool, because the pool will, all the umbrellas and chairs and all that stuff go into the restrooms once the pool closes. And so, I think the idea was, I don't think we ever talked about a porta potty down for the South 80 for the day. And looking at my notes, no, we didn't talk about that. We can ask them about it.
It was my impression, though, Joe, that they weren't going to be down there the entire day. It was just sort of like a half day outing, and then they would be walking back. Were they going to be picked up there at the end of the day, or were they going to walk back to the main?
No, they did say specifically that they're going to walk back to the school for pickup at the end of the day.
Okay. Oh, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are they gonna have lunch? They're gonna pack their lunches and eat down there?
I guess. I mean, I would imagine they would take their lunch. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's, maybe we should inquire. Yeah. I mean, that would be all day for a kid to go. To hold it, that would have to be, some arrangements would have to be made. But there's that issue. But like I said, what is the consensus here? Are we all good with having that porta potty over there strapped to a fence in Ann Buttonbecker Park?
So it is attached to something?
Well,
then?
I'm saying it
should be. I think it should be.
because some malicious kid is going to come along and tip the stupid thing over in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? I mean,
yeah.
you know, just being,
No. Yeah, okay, gross.
hey, people actually do that. But I mean, there is a way to, I think there's a way to prep it down.
We just used to TP trees.
Yeah, so, all right, well, I'm just assuming then, I mean, if there's no major objection, then Joe and I will just go ahead and,
Again, I would recommend maybe putting something on the website or next door Mariemont so people know that they've, you know, that they've talked to you and you've agreed to do this.
okay.
Yeah, right. As opposed to after the fact, they call Allison and go, what the heck?
Why is there a porta potty in the park, you know?
Yeah.
And isn't that a health hazard during COVID? I mean, I can see citizens, you know, having concerns about that.
I think
Yeah.
Marcy, you raised a good point about cleaning standards for the porta potty. Make sure somebody's gonna desanitize that thing on a daily basis.
Well, and then they should lock it up when they leave that place.
Yeah, we did talk that, you know,
Gotcha.
put the porta potties do have a locking mechanism that you can put a lock on every night. So, but cleaning standards, I think, is the other thing we need to just make sure of.
All right, then,
Bill, the only thing I was gonna say, if you don't mind, I think if the general concept is acceptable to council, that's great. Then you and Joe can get together and discuss some of the conditions that you're gonna impose on them. And that may work out to our advantage, that we can make sure that they do anything and everything we want them to do.
yeah,
What?
yeah.
And I think these folks are really receptive to it. I mean, I know that they like to take any opportunity to teach the kids like life skills or, you know,
They do, yeah.
responsibility. So,
Probably the one thing I'm least worried about is litter responsibility, because, you know, they're all about the environment.
right,
And so I don't think that's going to be a hard one to, you know, convince them that, you know, you need to pick up the paper towels, you know, and then get them in the right place afterwards.
Yep.
Yeah, and they may not even use paper towels. They may just use the hand cleaner, you know.
Right.
But, you know, you know, I think it's a good idea, you know, good point that, you know, they're responsible for that and responsible for any mess they make.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say, and I know Joel will agree with this. I mean, they've been extremely receptive. You know, we've had a couple of, like, I don't know what you call it, Joe, just telephone talks with them, but I mean, they're very receptive. So, and I think they would, you know, honor any, you know, request or something that we would have about this. So I think we got a good relationship going there.
You know, at the end of the day, they're just trying to figure out how to get these schools open. And their concept is they think it's better to be outside than inside as much as possible. So that's what we're trying to work with them. You know, this is not a perfect situation for anybody. I know some people may complain about a, you know, porta potty going into the Becker Park, but the reality is, you know, we're in a weird situation here. We're all trying to, you know, make things happen, and they're trying to get kids back to school, which is probably a good thing at the end of the day.
right.
Yeah, I just think it's just worth it to give people a heads up if we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right. All right, the last issue on miscellaneous is the Columbia Township options, you know, regarding the fire protection. I sort of worded it that way because I wanted to sort of keep it in very, very general terms. Columbia Township, you know, has, oh, there goes the fire alarm. Columbia Township has expressed an interest and a desire to enter into discussions regarding fire protection. And, you know, I mean, there's many different ways or different options here to be explored. And, you know, like I said, Rob has had some conversations with the chief. You know, Mr. Kubicki has had conversations with the chief, with me, you know, some with Tim. And part of our problem here at the moment is that there's too many cross-current conversations going on. We need to have a more centralized point of contact to basically consolidate and you know, and talk about, you know, we'll talk about potential options before we would even begin to discuss, you know, the details of any given option. So I think we ought to, well, number one, I want to get your thoughts on this, but I think we should steer ourselves toward a central point of contact for this.
I agree with you. And I think we should also start to talk about what the process would be like, you know, because usually you run things through. I mean, clearly all of council needs to weigh in on this. You know, whatever the outcome might be, all of council needs to weigh in. We should run it through a committee, and, you know, whatever committee you guys want to choose is fine. But I think it also makes sense, I agree with you, to have a single point person on it so that everyone's getting the same message.
I
So-
think that should be the mayor.
That's fine by me.
Sorry, Bill. Yeah, I mean, at this level, I think that makes the most sense. And then as things develop, whatever the way they develop, you know, we can re-examine it and see if we need to make different decisions. But right now, I think it's at such a level that it's best to go with the mayor.
I would agree with that, Kelly. The only thing is that my friend Bill doesn't look too very happy about that
Yeah,
suggestion.
well, why is making,
I'm sorry, what was that? No, I was actually reading another email, so if it's my accent, the other email I was reading.
What, somebody sent in about the porta potty?
No,
yeah,
yeah.
already. we
Words
got-
on the street.
No, it wasn't anything that you guys said. It was that email. I was like, what? So,
Well, bear in mind what we're sort of talking about here as an initial point of contact. You know, we're sort of talking about going from the general, you know, and then filtering it down to the specific. And obviously, you know, once the general conversation in terms of letting them express what their desires are, what their interests are, what, you know, in broad strokes, what their ideas are, then of course, I guess I as mayor would decide whose committee this would go into, how are we going to present this to council? I mean, you know, there'd be a lot of, you know, decisions to be made once we begin to go through the process. And as Rob said, I mean, possibly even talking about, you know, should we have some type of a protocol or a process for doing this?
Right.
But-
But I think we got a lot more information gathering at this point in time. Again, I don't know how. To your point, Bill, it sounds like there's multiple conversations being had on it, and I think in your role as the mayor, you're the good place to start. And then, you know, as it progresses, you tell all of council what's going on. We have a conversation, and we get to a point where we feel like there should be a committee, or we should just keep it committee of the whole or whatever. But I'm going to put it on you to get us to that point.
Yeah, and I mean, and let me make it clear. I mean, obviously, obviously council has to be involved in this. I mean, this is not a case where the mayor is trying to, you know, unilaterally, you know, make a decision, you know, of this scale and scope that affects the village. I mean, there's going to be a lot of input from everyone, you know, on this kind of a decision. And I'm saying on this kind of a decision, we don't even know whether there's even going to be a decision. I'm just saying, because there's a lot to be discussed here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because at the level that we're at now, you're right, there's a lot of decisions we don't know enough information about to judge, so.
Right. And as you know, Bill, once you do get that information in, this is one of those issues that you've got to be as transparent gets with your citizens, you know, because
No,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
believe me, from the last go around, and Tim, I'm not saying it's the same deal as the last go around, but I know people are pretty passionate about their fire protection there in the village.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, for an assortment of reasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe, you got any thoughts on this? Marcy, you got any thoughts on this?
I'm good with what Kelly suggested. I think that's a good starting point.
Okay.
I'm okay with it. I mean, I think it, you know, the reality is that we do have how best to say this, a operational unit that has employees. And I think we have to be very, very careful on, you know, communications of this type, because, you know, the rumor mill will get cooking, and we don't want that to happen. I mean, I think we have to be very careful of these conversations. And as long as we know it's, you know, channeled in the right direction, we're probably okay. And the term I'm going to use, or the saying I'm going to use, you don't want to have too many cooks in the kitchen during this process.
Right. Right,
So,
exactly.
I would agree.
All right.
So along those lines, I would recommend we go ahead and remove from finance committee then the 10 to 15 year forecast for that. Because, you know, again, it's your thing, you're running the lead on that. So, because we met as a committee and folks wanted to put it on hold and not do it. And so let's just go ahead and table it for now.
Yeah, let's, yeah, okay.
Until you get
Until we
further
get
down the
down, until we
path,
get down the road far enough.
Yeah, so let's just take that off.
Yeah.
Until,
Okay.
take it off until
Yeah.
you come back and say, here's what we're looking at and who's going to look at it.
Yeah, who's going to look at it? Yeah, exactly. Okay. Okay, so I'm assuming, I mean, let's have some kind of a show of hands or a little bit of a straw vote here. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. The mayor will be the point person on this. Are we all agreed?
I agree.
Okay, all right.
Agree.
Okay, good, good. All right, well, believe it or not, unless there's
I
anything.
think, no, wait, didn't Joni have something she wanted to say?
You know, I talked her out of it. She was gonna make a speech, but I said, no, better hold it back.
Hey, keep it quick, Joni.
All right, everybody.
All right,
All right, we're adjourned.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey.
Thanks, Bill.
Bye.
Good
Bye.
night.